Good Friday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. I'm your meteorologist, Joseph Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Friday evening going into your future. We have some stuff that we are going to talk about tonight, but before we get into that, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Right now, we have around a good. Let's go in and check and see. I'm not on the page. We have around a good 8 people that have tuned in, and only 4 likes so far. So if you're part of that 4 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free, and you can change your mind anytime. That's the first thing. Also subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 700 subscribers. We're a good amount away, about halfway there. So let's go on and continue our way there and share. Share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, even people you don't even like, because it's free, like I said. And like I said as earlier, you change your mind. Also, it's Friday evening, which means we have made it all the way through the work week. So we've made it all the way through past Friday. Now we have Saturday and Sunday to enjoy. Then we'll go back to work again as we get into next week. But we had a break. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we obviously will talk about the weather, obviously, for currently right now. We'll also talk about the weather for tonight. We'll talk about the weather for tomorrow. And then as well as our weather just for the long-term future, the short-term future, and just all of that. Even as we go throughout, the next 7 days, some fog tonight, isolated showers and warm. Saturday, gusty winds will be moving through as well with that cold front. And then seasonable to below normal temperatures early next week with very low precipitation. So we'll talk about all of that. But first, what's going on in terms of our radar? And so right now it looks like rainfall is mainly going on up there inside the upstate. Rainfall going on in Walhalla, Seneca, Clemson, Westminster, Fairplay, Anderson, Williamston, as well as Piedmont, and over there near Easley. You also do have some rainfall going on over here near Glen Springs, even going on near Union, South Carolina, Blacksburg, and Chesney, South Carolina. All these areas receiving rainfall, and this was expected. We were expecting to see all of this rainfall right here occur. And so if we go on and scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., not really a shocker either when I see we have severe weather going on down here in Louisiana. Going on in Mississippi, Alabama, flooding going on in these areas as well. Arkansas, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia. Obviously rainfall going on all the way in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, and even some rainfall going on in Maine, going on in northern Vermont. Rainfall and snowfall going on inside of Nebraska, Kansas. Some snowfall even going on in Kansas, and then also in Minnesota. And look at this. We even have a little bit of a tornado warning going on over here as well inside of Louisiana. Well, never mind. I take that back completely as it just disappeared in front of all of our faces. So, no tornado warning. Just a tornado watch right now. Well, actually, never mind. It's back. I don't know what the world just happened, but it was there for a hot minute and then it just went away and now it's back. So, but it's over there inside southwestern Richland Parish in northeastern Louisiana. Now, what's going on in terms of our cloud cover? Well, for right now, it looks like that we are mostly cloudy right now. In fact, there is some clear spots, but like I said, it seems like we are currently all covered up. Now, what about cloud cover for our future? We go in and push this forward. You can see this cloud cover moving its way through all the way to 3 a.m., 4 a.m., all the way up to 6 a.m. Cloud cover continuing its way throughout the state. We go all the way to 9 a.m., all the way to around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Cloud cover seems like it's still staying for the most part inside of the state. We move all the way to 4 p.m. to all the way to 7 p.m. And we start to see some cloud cover kind of lift a little bit. You can see it over there inside of the low country. You can see it inside of the PD area. That cloud cover is starting to kind of take its way out west a little bit more. But trust me, there still will be some more cloud cover that makes its way through. 1 a.m. here on Sunday. Cloud cover taking over again, majority of the state. And then we go all the way into Sunday afternoon, 12 o'clock p.m. going on to 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. here on Sunday. And we actually clear out a lot. I mean, this is 7 p.m. right here on Sunday. And look how clear we are. So clear skies are on the way, but we're still going to have to wait until around Sunday afternoon, like the late afternoon going into the evening for that. Current temperatures right now around a good 62 in Somerville, as well as 61 in Charleston, 60 Beaufort, and 59 inside of Hilton Head Island. We also do have around a good 62 in Georgetown, 60 in Murray's Inlet, 59 inside of Myrtle Beach, and 61 in Conway, 59 in North Myrtle Beach, and even around a good 65 in Sumter, 65 also in Orangeburg, and even 67 in Aiken, 66 in Columbia, and 64 in Florence and Hartsville, 63 Lancaster, 64 in Greenwood, and 63 also inside of Lawrence, 59 Greenville, 60 in Spartanburg and Gaffney, as well as 62 York and Rock Hill, 59 in Clemson, and 61 in Anderson. Now for your low temperatures for tonight, you have around a good 57 up there near Greenville, as well as 58 in Spartanburg, 58 in Rock Hill, and 59 also inside of Winsboro, Camden, Newbury, 60 in Columbia, 61 in Aiken, 60 in Barnwell, and 61 in Orangeburg, 59 in Walterboro, and 60 inside of Hilton Head Island, 59 in Moncks Corner and Charleston, and 57 in Kingstree and Georgetown, 58 in Dillon, Cheraw, Myrtle Beach, and 60 in Florence. High temperatures for tomorrow. You have around a good 68 in Greenville, 69 in Spartanburg, and 70 in Anderson, 71 in Lawrence, and 74 in Greenwood and Newbury, 75 in Winsboro, 73 in Rock Hill, 78 Camden and Cheraw, as well as 79 in Sumter and Florence, 78 also in Kingstree, 77 Moncks Corner, 79 in Barnwell, Orangeburg, 68 in Charleston, 74 Georgetown. And so it ranges a lot. But one thing that I am noticing here is that mainly those Midland areas. Those areas seems like where it's being the warmest. Now the Low Country as well could potentially be one of those areas, but look in the Midlands, look at the Low Country, look at even the PD areas looking warmer, while those coastal areas and then also up there inside the far upstate staying in the 60s. Rainfall as we go into tonight: 1/10 of an inch to a 1/10 of an inch for Aiken, Columbia, Camden, Cheraw. 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 of an inch for Winsboro, 1/4 of an inch for Newbury, and even a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch for Greenwood, and maybe even a 1/2 an inch to an inch from Anderson to Lawrence to Greenville to Spartanburg and to Rock Hill. But we can get even more precipitation than that because you can see up there in the very far upstate. That's just to the north and west of Greenville and west of Spartanburg. Pickens, you have Salem, you have Walhalla, Westminster, Seneca. All of these areas all have the threat for potentially an inch to potentially 3 inches of rainfall to fall. Now, the more you get towards that South Carolina and North Carolina border, the more rainfall. And so we'll continue to look at it. We'll continue to see what happens. But if you're inside the Low Country, the Southern Midlands, the PD, the Grand Strand, you actually look good in terms of precipitation for the next around 24 hours or so. Now, what about the crazy score for tonight? If you have no idea what the crazy score is, it is a score that we see how crazy the weather is throughout the state of South Carolina, and this is for tonight. Why is it at 25 for tonight? Well, mainly because, number one, patchy to widespread fog developing after midnight. That will have that potential as well for dense pockets. The visibility is less than a mile. That's the primary noticeable and hazardous element for tonight. This strong radiational / advective fog setup driven by that southwest flow. You have the light to calm winds and that moisture trapping. All of that will aid in this threat. Maybe even potentially meeting dense fog advisory criteria. So do not be surprised if you see an alert or something like that, fog alert, pop up about that. Also, some isolated light showers. That's going to continue to grow as the night progresses. It's going to be very warm in terms of our lows for tonight. If you just saw the low temperatures, it's going to be warm for our lows for tonight. And then for the most part, that's about all I can see here in terms of the entire, the reasoning as to why we're at a 25 for tonight. SPC outlook for tonight: thunderstorms are possible up there inside the very far upstate where all that rainfall is happening, just to the west of Greenville. And so that will happen if the showers get going, and we do in fact have the energy for it. So we just got to wait and see what happens with that. Now, in terms of tomorrow, we do in fact have a marginal risk of severe weather. Now, it's mainly up there for the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg, over there close to Rock Hill. You have Other areas in there, Pickens, Clemson, Anderson, going all the way down, maybe towards like Saluda or Newbury, Greenwood. And so these areas right here are going to have to watch out, definitely for the main threat, being that those damaging wind gusts, all the way up to from 40 miles an hour all the way up to 60 miles per hour is all possible. And so, like I said, that's the main threat. No tornado threat, not really a hail threat either. Again, just damaging winds. And then for day 3, Sunday, we're good. No thunderstorms are expected. Excessive rainfall as we go into tonight, going into tomorrow morning. There's a little hint of yellow. I didn't put it inside the screen though because I thought that it was just a bit too little. But I mean, technically I could have. Because there is a little slight risk here in the state of South Carolina, and it's just to the west of Long Creek, South Carolina. So, like I said, not too much of a populated area. Battle Creek is in there, but I mean, for the most part, I don't really see too much of anything down here. One thing that definitely is popular is the isolated risk and the marginal risk for Walhalla to Salem to Pickens to Greenville. And we've just been talking about this upstate for pretty much the majority of this forecast, but that's just because they're getting the majority of the activity right now. And it's the same thing for tomorrow as well. Going all the way from Saturday morning to Sunday morning, isolated flash flooding from Westminster to Clemson to Pickens to Dawkesville to even Travelers Rest, Tigerville, Landrum, all these areas. Rainfall could exceed a flash flooding scale and could potentially see some over there. Now let's go and look at the models. We're going to start off here at 9 o'clock in the p.m., 9 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock in the evening. You go in and push this forward right here, and you can see, there we go. Go in and push this forward, and you can see as you get all the way to 12 o'clock in the morning, you start to see that rainfall start to move into the upstate. All the way to 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and you're just still seeing rainfall going throughout the upstate. Now, you do indeed see this line right here, and this is the cold front. This is the line of severe storms that we're talking about. And as you continue moving this forward to 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., you also see some rainfall maybe trying to form a little bit in the low country, the Grand Strand areas as well. But it's very on the pop-up side, not too crazy at all. But that seems to be forming like in front of the actual cold front, like very far from like border to border. But that low pressure, like I said, that's going to stay up there in the upstate pretty much all night going into tomorrow afternoon. And then it's going to start moving its way towards the east. 1 to 2 p.m., we start to see it starting to move a little bit into like the southern upstate going into the northern Midlands. It reaches the central Midlands around 3 o'clock, or at least a little boundary in front of it does. The main cold front might not make it there until actually a little bit later than that. Then we get to 7 to 8 p.m., and this thing just completely just dissipates. 9 p.m., when I go live tomorrow night, this thing is like almost just completely gone. In fact, even if you go all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning, there's still like a little bit of some remnants to it, but it's not going to be much for the low country, the PD, and the Grand Strand area, which means that the upstate is really just going to take the brute force of this, and I've been talking about that since last night. But I really do think the upstate's just going to take the brute force of the system and going to take the majority of just the bad stuff from it away from the low, especially that low country in that Grand Strand area. But then once we get to around like 11 a.m. here on January the 11th, we're dry. We're not looking for anything else there. But just to let it run again, you can just see how this continues its way throughout the day on the 10th, which is tomorrow. And then it kind of just continues through the morning hours on Sunday. So now what about the long-term future? Well, yeah, we'll go and check that out right now. Start off right here on January the 11th. You can see all the way through the 13th, the 14th, and look at this. We have a huge cold front trying to move its way through around the 15th, and this could bring those freezing temperatures with it. We talked about this for a couple of nights now in a row, and even as we get into around the 18th, you see some more rainfall, some more snowfall going on, potentially in the very far upstate, and maybe over there in the PD area. But like I said, 234 hours out, almost a week, out, so just way too far out. But one thing I will say is one of the models earlier for the GFS was showing an insanity run of just snowfall for the entire state on like January the 15th. Now again, that was like an insanity run. That's probably not going to happen. But right now it showed up once and then it just kind of just went away. That was on the 12Z. So if you start seeing stuff like that, you got to make sure you be careful with that stuff, and make sure that you know what's real and what's actually fake or not. But continuing this forward, like I said, rainfall continues its way through, all the way through the 22nd. Another cold front moving its way through a bit after that, and then we get that zonal flow setup that I've been talking about as we get after around mid-January, to where we have the cooler air more on the top side, warm air on the bottom side. Now, if we go in and look at the actual thermo, or the dew points, not the thermodynamics, the dew points, we're going to start off here at around where we are right now, 7 p.m. on January the 9th. There goes the first cold front right here on the 11th. Then we stay dry, cool. Then there goes that secondary cold front. This is not temperatures, by the way. And some more dew points going all the way down. I mean, we're dry. We're all the way down to like single digits. That cold front's going to do a good amount, even going into the negatives a little bit. You think we're done there? Absolutely not. January the 19th, another cold front moving its way through. Then we're still not done. January the 23rd, another big time cold front tries to move through. And look at this one, this giant one up there inside of the very far, like the Midwest over there. And it's just continuing to be cold front after cold front after cold front after cold front after cold front. And in fact, if this cold front right here was to make its way down here, that has like 20-degree temperatures at 1 o'clock p.m. for like much of the northern U.S. going to the Midwest. So that would be, if that was to occur, January the 25th, 384 hours out, way too far out. But something to look for, something to look at. And in terms of our temperatures in general, like I said, we're going to be warm. This is January the 10th right here, and it shows temperature close to getting to 80 degrees tomorrow. Then that cold front will move its way through. We'll have some freezing temperatures going to around like the 12th, going into the 13th. So make sure that you're prepared for that. And then even as we go into the 15th, going into the 16th, look at these temperatures down here going all the way down to the 30s, all the way near the coastal areas. Then we'll see some more going to the 17th. Another cold front moves its way down, going to the 19th and the 20th. And then another cold front, obviously, like we were talking about, bringing us some more freezing temperatures. So we're not done with freezing temperatures at all. We have a lot more freezing temperature events to go through before we'll be done with that. And so that's pretty much all I have to say in terms for tonight for our long-term future. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, I believe Mr. Chris was here first tonight. He says, good evening. Everyone, hope you had a great day. I did. Thank you so much for asking. My Aunt Lewis says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. I pray that everyone had a blessed day. I did. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Chris also says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone you know. It's free and it helps the channel grow. He's absolutely correct. Right now, we have around a good 18 people that have tuned in and only 8 likes, or 7 likes right now. 18 people have tuned in and only 7 likes. So if you are a part of, right now, that 11 that have not hit the like button yet, go on and do so. It's free and you can change your mind at any time. Then Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. Mr. Chris comes back and says, currently it's 64 here in Moncks Corner. Right now at my house, it says around 61-ish. I think my newer one said around 62 not too long ago, so a little bit off, but still relatively close. And then my Aunt Lewis says today we had a beautiful weather today with a high of 77. My high for today on my older weather station says around 81. I think that's a bit more on the warmer side. I think that's a little bit more on the warmer side. If I go on right now and look at at my one here, the newer one, right now it looks like we had high temperature today of around 77. So yeah, I think that's probably more accurate than 80 degrees, 81 degrees. Continue our way down. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Mr. Chris says, Saute, we hit a record high temperature. Well, it just matters on where it is, but like if it was in like North Charleston, or if it was inside downtown Charleston, or whatever area it was. But some area today possibly could have hit a record high temperature. I think the record high temperature for at least in Charleston was around 79, so it could have potentially exceeded that. But over here, where I am, I don't think we quite hit the record. Might be mistaken though. I'll actually go in and check that out real quick to see. That says, good evening, Joseph and Weather Family. I trust all is well with each and every one of you. Another great day here in San Antonio. Well, thank you so much for that. All is well. Good evening to you, and glad that it was another great day to where you are. And then he also says current temperature is 65, partly cloudy skies, high of 74 today. Continuing my way down, I think that is about all. Milo says today in Georgetown it was so nice it almost felt like beach weather. Well, thank you so much for that weather report to where you are. Mr. Gray says you mentioned that the wind was going to pick up. What will the wind speed be for the low country? It's going to be as that cold front passes. So, for, the low country just in general, that's a pretty big area. So it's going to be different for multiple areas, but obviously I know where you are. So I can actually just go in and check that right now and see what your highest gust would be. Or I can just call out some locations, though, as well. But over there inside of Moncks Corner, right now, you're looking at wind gusts as high as around like a good 25-ish miles per hour. So it's not going to be, too bad. 25 over there. You go to downtown Charleston, you see around like a good 22. Nothing too crazy there either. You go to North Charleston, you see like a good, like 25-ish or so, somewhere around there. You go to Walterboro, you have like a good, like 26-ish. So, it's all seeming like it's going to range around that 25 mile per hour range. If I'm just continuing just to click around here. Yeah. The highest one that I saw was in Somerville with 30, but that's the only one that I saw. I didn't see anything else really past that. Going back, though, I think we had one more chat right here, though. And that says, not looking forward to a high of 57 and a low in the 30s tomorrow. Well, we're going to go on and talk about that right now, actually. In terms of your lows in the 30s for tomorrow, I don't see that right here. But let's go on and talk about the full locations outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, full location, what are you talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly. Because they tune in almost nightly and they show their support to the channel, and their location is not even the main one being talked about, I think that is grounds for them to go and get their own weather forecast. At the end, this only takes around like a good 3-4 minutes-ish or so not too long. So we're going to start off with San Antonio first, with low temperatures tonight at 47, high temperatures tomorrow at 61, then low temperatures tomorrow night at 41. Precipitation is not expected as you go throughout today, going into tomorrow. But if I go on and look at your weather for the future and your severe weather, right now it just looks like that you will indeed have some gusty winds as you go into tomorrow. Wind gusts as high as 35 miles per hour. So it's going to be a breezy night tonight, breezy day tomorrow. And then in terms of your temperatures, you said 30s were coming up. I don't see anything in terms of the 30s here. So I don't know which, or I don't know, where that came from. But according to the forecast that I have, I don't see anything in terms of the 30s. Seems like you're going to stay in the 40s for the most part. But that was for your long-term future. In terms of your severe weather, your excessive rainfall, right now it looks like that you really don't have any risk of any sort of severe weather. So I think you're good there. What about excessive rainfall? Same thing. I think you're good there as well. Nothing really for you to really watch out for. Now, what about Raleigh, North Carolina? You have low temperatures tonight at 57, high temperatures tomorrow at 74, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 48. Rain is likely tonight There also is a chance of showers tomorrow, and showers are expected tomorrow night. So you will indeed see some rainfall. You will see some rainfall. Now, what about your severe weather? What about your excessive rainfall? Excessive rainfall, none of that is expected. Same thing with severe weather, so you're good there. In terms of the weather for your future, it looks like that you will kind of continue to see kind of like that cooling trend of like Sunday 57, Monday 49, Tuesday 55, Friday of next week 44. Lows going down towards the 20s for some nights, so it's going to cool back down for you. Going to cool back down. In fact, you even have some hazardous weather outlooks, and it's mainly for, it says, showers and isolated storms will be capable of producing an isolated tornado or locally damaging wind gusts Saturday afternoon through the evening, which is interesting because according to the SPC outlook, they don't have it. So I think there might be a little bit of a disagreement, possibly between the National Weather Service of Raleigh and then also the Storm Prediction Center people. So interesting to see. Interesting to see. We see that sometimes, but I think they believe that there's a little threat for. We'll see we'll see if they agree with them tomorrow. But what happens there? Now, what about Philadelphia? You have low temperatures tonight at 43, high temperatures tomorrow at 47, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 40. Precipitation not expected for tonight. Tomorrow, rain is definitely expected. Tomorrow and tomorrow night. So you definitely will see some rainfall. Excessive rainfall, severe weather, nothing for you there, so you're good. Now, what about your long-term future? You actually will have the chance for some snow on Sunday, 20%, so it's relatively low, but it's there. Also, you will continue to drop in temperatures as well. Lows 29 Sunday night, high of 42 on Monday, high of 34 on Friday. It's going to drop back down. And then the final location being Duncan, Oklahoma, with low temperatures tonight at 32, high temperatures tomorrow at 53, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 29. Precipitation is not expected for tonight, tomorrow, or tomorrow night. So you're good there as well. And then in terms of your excessive rainfall, severe weather, seems like right now you are good as well. And then in terms of your future, looks like you're going to stay kind of in the same category-ish. You may warm up a little bit. In terms of your high temperatures, low temperatures will slowly start to climb, but it won't be until around like the middle part of next week. And so that's pretty much all I have to say here. So let's go on now real quick. Check out the chat one more time. See what we have. Thad says, Alexa gave me that info. I knew she wasn't as reliable as you. I'm packing her up and sending her back. Well, I'm not telling you to send her back. I just, I have my own Alexa, it goes on and it tells me, reminds me every night, 8:50, make sure you got your stuff ready, So I'm not telling you to send her back. Don't send her back. Just may not be as reliable for when it comes to the weather. It doesn't have its strong suits. Does not have its strong suits. But that's all I can see here. Top fans of the night for tonight. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by the number one, but it is back to Mr. Chris again. And then I believe Milo is at number 2, and then Thad is at number 3. Congratulations to the 3 of y'all for being the top fans of the night for tonight. If you want to be a part of the top fan, you can by joining us at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That's first. Second off, if you have not, also hit the subscribe button, because you have to do that in order... Excuse me. You also have to do that also if you want to go on and type inside of the chat. Also, you have to be active. So more than just one chat, you also have to be here early. So all of that you have to do if you want to be a part of the top fan. Then again, it's all for fun. Nobody gets any prizes for it or anything like that. Just something that you just get a shout at the end. And then I think that's all I can see here. Let me go and check out my email. I haven't seen my email, anything being sent to my email, but I can go on and check real quick, see if I have anything. Miss Tolliver actually sent something. I don't think she's here tonight, but she says, "Hey Joseph, it was a hot one today, which meant the pond life was jumping. Mr. Egret was fishing today. Here are a few shots. Hope to tune in tonight." Here it is right here. If you want to go on and check it out. Again, like I said, I don't think she is here tonight, but she did send in some pictures. So here's the first one. Going into the second one here. And then as we continue our way through, going into the third one as well. So if you want to go in and send in a picture like Miss Tolliver, you can by sending them to scweather360@gmail.com. As again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. And that's all I can see here in terms of my email. In the subject, she said it was hot today. It was hot today. So we're going to go on and wrap this up. Again, if you have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. Around a good 24 people have tuned in, only 8 likes. So around like a good 16 people have not hit the like button yet. So go in and do so. Also, hit the subscribe button if you're new. 649, trying to get to 700. 51 away from that main goal of 700. Also, share with your friends, your family members, your acquaintances, even people you don't even like. Go on and share it with them. And I will be back tomorrow morning with your Saturday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Friday evening. And hit those 2 buttons before you leave.